This 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited has now been in the family for 14 months. So I'm just a little bit overdue on a one-year review, and that's what this vid is going to be all about. I'm going to start out by going over some stats I've gathered since the day I took delivery. Then look at some things I've discovered along with how this Jeep has performed, including any issues, followed by my own thoughts on it and what our experience has been, our being me and my wife, since this has been her daily driver, not mine. Finally, we'll answer the best question you can ask anyone about reviewing something, and that is, would you buy it again? Or even better, knowing what you know now, would you still have bought it originally? And you'll definitely want to stick around to the end, because that's when I'll share an unedited and raw clip of audio I captured on my dash cam of my wife talking about how she feels about her Jeep. So with that, let's get started with the stats. Again, we've had this Jeep for 14 months now. As I'm recording this, it has 7,983 miles, as you can see there on the odometer. However, to keep these stats a bit more accurate, they go up to a couple weeks ago where the Jeep had 7,745 miles on it, and that's because that's when I last filled it up with gas. And gas is what we're starting with. So to go that distance of 7,745 miles, from the time it rolled off the assembly line up to the moment before my last fill up, when the tank was back to empty where it started, we've pumped in 461.365 gallons of regular 87 octane fuel at a cost of $1,094.28. That's give or take a couple gallons, since I don't have receipts from the fuel the factory put in or what the dealer put in before delivery. I have, however, kept every receipt from every fill up since then, so I was still able to make a fairly educated guess as to the factory and dealer fuel. Knowing the fuel data, we can now calculate the actual mileage this Jeep has achieved, and that number is 16.787 miles per gallon. Looking at the Jeep's gauges, it does show an average mile per gallon of 16.1 on one trip, 16.0 on the other. Now, these trip meters have been reset, so as you can see, that's only for the last 1,200 so miles, but it's still trending around the same mark, and these gauges tend to skew towards most recent mileage, so they can be a little bit off. Keep in mind, too, that the majority of the miles on this Jeep are city miles. My wife mainly uses this to commute to her work, which isn't too far away and doesn't involve any freeways. Looking at the window sticker, which I have reprinted right here, Jeep claims a city mileage of 19. So in reality, we fall a bit short of that. I also want to point out that my wife does not have a lead foot like me. She drives this thing like a normal, reasonable person would, so you can't say the lower mileage is from her driving habits. I mean, imagine how much lower it would be if I drove it daily. It's also never towed anything and isn't loaded down with unnecessary weight either. I will say though, the traffic and construction around far north Dallas where we're at does have us sitting around idling a lot more than I'd guess most people in other places do. So that could actually be what's bringing the mileage down so far below Jeep's own estimates. As for maintenance and repairs, it's barely had anything at all. Just the routine oil changes that I've done myself, which I did make a vid on with the first oil change, so you can click on up here, or is it here? The other side. Other than that, it's never had to go back into the dealer for anything and has only had one recall so far. That recall ended up just being a software update to fix a rear view camera bug where it wouldn't display sometimes. That software update was done over the air, and honestly, we didn't even know it happened until we got this notice in the mail. Now, I do have one more fact to mention, and it's not a good one. A common question you hear a lot from prospective car buyers is how well a car will hold its value. And if I'm being honest here, Chrysler products historically haven't had the greatest reputation in this regard. That said, you do have to take into account external factors like what the car market looked like back in 2023 versus where it's at now in late 2024. So the fact is, the MSRP on this Jeep was $53,395. I was able to get a decent deal on the car though when I bought it, and paid a total price out the door of $53,261.67. That's tax, title, license, and everything included for just a hair under MSRP. Now, it was during a time when a lot of dealers were still doing markups or not dealing under MSRP at all. Fast forward 14 months, and if we go to kbb.com to get today's value, which I just did a couple days ago, as you can see here in the screen recording, with only 7,931 miles on the Jeep at the time, in still excellent condition, not even a single door ding, the high end of the value, if selling privately, is only $36,802. And if we were traded in, the most I could get according to KBB is only $33,330. That's almost a $20,000 loss on a trade-in, which is a 37.42% decrease. Basically over a third of its value lost in barely over a year, with below average miles. Even at the high end of a private sale, it's still a 30.9% decrease. Again, no, the car market is vastly different today from a year ago, heck, even a couple months ago. I actually check on this value regularly, and I swear that when I checked about 2 months ago, KBB was giving me values a full 10 grand higher. And it does seem like car values have started plummeting within that time. And I'm sure part of that has to do with the fact that Stellantis actually cut the MSRP on brand new Jeeps and Rams here, I think like by $4,000 recently. So, all right, but now let's move on to my experience, things I've discovered, and just general build quality. And for that, let's go back outside the Jeep. Okay, so taking a look at the hood, and hopefully you can see here, yeah, you should be able to see these couple circles right there. Taking a close look, it almost looks like it's under the clear, but it's hard to say. I can't tell if it's quite a burn through the clear or something under from the factory. Maybe it was done at PDI at the dealer, but that is something that's bugging me. And unfortunately, I did not notice these at the time of delivery. It was like about a week or so after, and the dealer I bought this from is like 100 miles away from me, so wasn't exactly easy to go back down there and have them look at it. But yeah, I've tried every detailing trick to try and get rid of these, and I just can't. And there's even actually a couple more right up here too. And then coming around here to the passenger side, if you look at this door, this is also something I didn't notice at time of delivery, but it was about a week or so after. Notice how it's off, it's twisted. So come around the back, you can see a little bit better. So it's just slightly bent. Now all the rest of the gaps look fine, everything looks good. So it looks like it's just the door frame is twisted out a little bit. Now I have no leaks or any issues otherwise whatsoever, and I could always take it to the dealer, but having worked in shops before, I guarantee you I know exactly what they would do. They would pull it in the back, and a tech would go ahead, grab it with his hands, and just kind of force it and try to bend it back with just regular brute force. Because I've seen it happen. But again, I don't trust dealers, and because there's no leaks and there's no wind noise or anything stemming from that, I'd rather not risk them screwing something up. But those two things are really the only quality issues I found, at least physical ones. Mechanically, this Jeep has been great. The 3.6 Pentastar V6 has been running great with no issues, and it really is a great engine. They've been around for well over a decade, and I even had one in my 2012 Dodge Avenger with no issues. Now the engine does have the start-stop feature that can be annoying, but you can easily turn that off like we do most of the time. Then you have the transmission along with the rest of the drivetrain, and again, no issues at all. Now getting back inside the car, the ride quality, great. It's a comfortable ride that's way smoother than my 2017 Ram, and handles good enough. Personally, I would like a little bit more power like with the Hemi V8 versions, but this V6 is strong enough for most people. And it does have a sport mode that you can activate anytime, which does make it feel noticeably peppier. Although my wife isn't a fan of sport mode because it changes shift points and lets the engine rev a bit higher, which makes it a bit louder, and she's just not into that. She likes a quiet ride, which is what this is normally on the inside. And it does have some nice amenities. Amenities that most of the time work great. Some without any issues whatsoever. All the climate controls work great. AC blows really cold. Has no problem even in the triple digit heat we commonly see here in Texas. Speaking of which, the ventilated seats, godsend, they're awesome. Sound system surprisingly doesn't sound that bad either, given it's the standard system and not upgraded at all. But then we get to the UConnect. And I love UConnect. I've had multiple vehicles now with the UConnect system. But this latest UConnect 5, it's got some issues. The electronics are just glitchy, And not just like one type of glitch, they're kind of all over the place and random. I even managed to capture one of the glitches on camera. So let me play you that clip right now. Video proof of a glitch. So take a look at the UConnect. Not sure what's going on there. 5 minutes ago, and I backed out of my garage. The rear screen came on. Oh look, there it goes. It just turned off. It went black. System is starting. Oh, and I didn't even notice my dash did something too. Still starting. By the way, I didn't even have it on GPS or map before it glitched, so I don't know why it's starting there or loading the map. Yeah, no. See, none of the presets are there. Well, one of the presets is there. Does radio work at least? So yeah, it's showing playing. I'm hitting the volume knob. Nothing is coming on. Can't hear nothing at all. Can't even press anything. Let's see what happens. I'm about to come to a stop. Let's see what we can do. All right, just came to a stop. Let's first turn up the air because it's kind of loud. Oh, look, it's not letting me. I mean, it sounds like it's slowing down, so it sounds like it actually is going up, but clearly it's not showing it. And yeah, won't let me touch anything. See if I use my steering wheel controls. Anything happen? Nope. No volume, nothing. Check out my dash, okay, steering wheel controls work, at least for the center cluster. By the way, as you can see, I only have 6,893 miles at this time. Not the first time this thing has glitched out on me, or actually my wife, because it's really her car. I just haven't been in it because the battery died in my truck. Okay, so let's see, screen off button, nothing happens. Here's volume and power. Okay, we turned off, let's see, turn it back on. System starting. Oh yeah, once it starts, it looks like it resets the cluster too, because that just like went to different screens. Oh, there we go, we got sound. And it's working again. But like I said, there's more than just one glitch. Another that I've witnessed is the rear view camera display would just freeze. But not like it wouldn't display at all, which is what the recall is for. It would freeze on the image while you were backing up. So you'd start backing up, it would turn on, you could see it moving, and then it would just freeze. So if you weren't paying close attention, you wouldn't even notice. Meanwhile, a kid or animal or something could just dart out behind you, and unless you caught them in your mirrors, which you should be using anyway, you wouldn't even see them. Then there's other glitches my wife has complained to me about where things just don't always work. And unfortunately, we have the camera on me and not the UConnect, but again, as I'm recording this, the display on the UConnect literally just flickered. It flickered to all black a few times and then came back. Now, one more that I've experienced is the hands-free calling with your phone. The Bluetooth connection with phones, regardless if it's mine or my wife's, is just plain inconsistent. Sometimes you'll hear the other end no problem, but they can't hear you. Other times it's the opposite. Sometimes neither side can hear anything. Meanwhile, the UConnect will show that the phone is connected. It's gotten to the point that whenever I drive the Jeep, I just turn my Bluetooth off, and that way I don't even have to deal with it. And remember, I also have right now a 2020 Dodge Challenger and a 2017 Ram, and I used to have a 2012 Dodge Avenger, all with UConnects, just older versions obviously, but no problems connecting with my phone ever on any of those. The weird part too is that this connection problem is mostly just happening with phone calls. When it's just streaming music, it doesn't seem to have the same connectivity issues. So overall, the Jeep is okay. I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, saving grace for me at least is the fact that it has a proven engine and drivetrain that I'm very familiar with. And that's one of the big reasons my wife went for this Jeep, because I am familiar with it enough to handle most minor issues on my own. Luckily, there haven't been any of those minor issues. But all these new electronics are so glitchy that I honestly just don't trust them. And if I keep being completely honest, If it were any of the newer drivetrains like the 4xe or 4xe or however you say it, or if it gets the new Hurricane inline sixes that I'm not at all familiar with, I don't know that I would trust it enough to make the purchase. And I won't even get into all the shenanigans going on with Stellantis right now. That's an entirely other topic. So to answer that all important question, would I buy this Jeep again? Well, probably not. And I'll go as far as to say that I even told my wife, if we get the opportunity to trade it in for something else, she could pick whatever she wanted with absolutely no restrictions. Not that I gave her restrictions before, just recommendations. And when I say no restrictions, I mean manufacturer-wise. Like, it does not need to be a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. Now, for those that know me, that is a big statement because I've always been a huge Mopar loyalist. I always said it was my dream to have a driveway with nothing but Chrysler vehicles. And my wife was fine with that since she isn't exactly a car person. And that takes us to the promised clip of my wife's thoughts on this Jeep in her own words. Just a quick setup for you to give you some context. I had basically told her what I just said the previous day. So the idea had been put in her mind. The next day, we were in my Ram driving out to Costco, which is 30 minutes away. So we're just having typical conversation. And during this drive, this topic comes up again. And she starts telling me what she thinks of the Jeep. Now, halfway through, I started thinking to myself, man, I wish I started recording this because this was just raw and unsolicited. It was never planned. I didn't ask her to do this, and she doesn't play a role in my YouTube videos anyway. Then I realized I have a dash cam. It's always recording. I didn't tell her that though, and just let her keep talking normally. Even now, as I'm recording this, I actually haven't told her about that dash cam recording yet, so it'll be a little surprise when she finds out I'm about to use this audio you're about to hear. But I will tell her before I publish. To keep it real, I'm not even going to make any cuts or edits to this clip. And also, my dash cam is a front camera only, so you'll only see what's in front of us at the time, but you will hear everything going on inside the cab. So without further delay, here she is talking about this Jeep.
Oh, so I can branch out? Is what you're saying?
You can branch out to anything you want.
Because I have not been happy with this Jeep.
Well, I need to hear your actual real thoughts because
I don't have
a video on it.
The thing is, like, I don't have any, like, concrete. It's not like, I hate that it does this, I hate that it does that. It's just like, and some of the things are superficial things. Like, I'm really unhappy with the color. It's not blue enough.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like black cars. So, there's that. And then I'm not happy with those circle things that are on it. That just drives me, like, every day I look at that. Like, you don't understand, every single day that bothers me.
Okay.
And then, you know, once in a while the car just freaks out in the middle of driving. But it happens so quickly that I don't know what it is. It's like I need to have a camera positioned on the dashboard to catch it because I don't know. I'll just be driving just like this, like nothing's happening at all, and all of a sudden it goes and like all these lights flash and then it stops. So it's like I have no idea what that is, but it freaks me out every time. And then the constant problems with the UConnect, with my phone not connecting to calls, and it makes no rhyme or reason when it does or doesn't, because I could call Kat and it'll connect, and then I'll get off the phone with her, call you, it's not ringing through there. Like, it doesn't make any sense, like, when or why it connects. So it's not like massive things, but it's just like all those things together. I just am like not happy with the car, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I do feel like I wish I had taken into account the back seat a little more because it is pretty tight, you know, and we do like road trips, and I feel like I would never want to make Emily ride a road trip in there because even though she's a kid, but like it's just tight. I think I would prefer captain's chairs in the back seat if I could. it does seem like in the heat, there's more issues with this, which I don't know if that's like all cars or not, but like
UConnect.
well, like because like sometimes the screen's just black, and it won't turn on or off. I don't know why, and I don't know if it's because it's the heat. Like, it did seem to happen over the summer.
I think she pretty much summed up perfectly what I've been saying. And there's probably no better review than one from someone who doesn't even realize they're giving one. And just to expand on what she was saying about the back seat being tight, you have to understand that for all the road trips we've taken in the past 5 years, it's been in my crew cab Ram, which obviously has a lot more spacious back seat. And before that, we had a Dodge Grand Caravan that had captain's chairs in the second row. So coming from those, this is a tight fit back there. Where for someone coming from a small sedan, let's say, they might not feel the same way. Now, I don't know how long this Jeep is going to stay in the family. With the values plummeting the way they have, we're kind of stuck with it for now. But in the meantime, I will continue keeping tabs on things like fuel usage and any issues that might arise. Although hopefully none do, knock on wood if I can find some. Does this fake wood grain here count? And of course, if anything does come up, you can count on me to make a vid on it. Hope this vid was helpful. As always, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Maybe I'll see you at the dealer.